Baltimore Ravens fans, the past season has left a lot to unpack. And now we are seeing the ripple effects of those disappointments make major waves across the organization. The decision to part ways with John Harbaugh has sent shockwaves through the fan base. But when you dig into what led to it, the reasoning starts to make a lot of sense. Steve Bisciotti didn't make this call lightly. He spoke openly about the fact that the team had led the league in giving up leads in the fourth quarter. And that's not the kind of performance you see from organizations that are built to win consistently. The playoffs are supposed to be a place where excellence is rewarded, not a stage where shortcomings are magnified. And that consistent pattern of underperformance was the starting point of a larger decision. Bisciotti emphasized that this wasn't just about Harbaugh. He recognized that players carry responsibility and that success or failure is always a collective endeavor. He spoke with several veterans to gather input, making it clear that while their perspectives mattered, the ultimate choice had to reflect what was best for the team's future. There was a firm commitment to standards, and those standards weren't being met on the field. The phone call that confirmed Harbaugh's departure wasn't glamorous, Bisciotti admitted. He never imagined firing someone over the phone, but it was a decision made out of practicality and timing, not a lack of respect. When Harbaugh received the call, he responded graciously, showing professionalism even in an incredibly difficult moment. Looking deeper, the build-up to this decision had been years in the making. It wasn't about one missed playoff opportunity or one blown fourth-quarter lead. Over time, a pattern emerged. The team cycled through coordinators, the roster experienced stagnation in certain key areas, and the strategy on game days often raised questions. Fans and leadership alike noticed when adjustments weren't made and opportunities slipped away. Bisciotti's gut told him the moment for change had arrived, and he acted decisively. The timing wasn't about convenience, it was about addressing a trajectory that had stalled and ensuring the organization didn't continue to tread water. This wasn't a sudden reaction. It was the culmination of careful observation and acknowledgement of repeated shortcomings. There's also an important point about the fan base here. Bisciotti understands the relationship between the team and its supporters. He knows that keeping the franchise competitive isn't just about wins and losses, but about sustaining excitement, trust, and engagement. Stadium experiences, broadcast presence, and the overall presentation of the team all feed into the long-term health of the organization. When leadership sees patterns that threaten that health, they have to act. And in this case, the message was clear. Standards matter, accountability matters, and mediocrity cannot be tolerated if the team wants to pursue championship-level success. Turning to the management side, Eric DeCastia's role has also been under the microscope. Bisciotti praised DeCastia's capabilities as a general manager, while simultaneously highlighting the areas where improvement is necessary. Accountability starts at the top, and DeCastia acknowledged the mistakes and shortcomings that contributed to the season's disappointments. It's a balance of respect and candid critique. The organization recognizes talent and potential, but it also demands results and development. The offensive line, pass rush, roster construction, and scouting were all highlighted as areas requiring attention. Changes aren't optional, they are essential for the Ravens to compete at the level they aspire to. DeCastia's reflections suggest an understanding of the challenges faced by the coaching staff and players, but they also underline a need for a sharper sense of responsibility. Fans want to hear that leadership is aware, accountable, and actively working the correct course. Bisciotti's message was firm. Mistakes will be addressed, and expectations must be met across every level of the organization. This is a franchise that sets a high bar, and there's no room for half measures or deferred responsibility. If the team is demanding excellence from its players and coaches, the same standard must be applied to the management and scouting operations. When it comes to strategy, the next head coach will have a significant role in shaping the Ravens' identity moving forward. The lessons from past failures, particularly in playoff performance, highlight that success isn't just about making it to the postseason. It's about advancing and seizing opportunities when they matter most. Bisciotti has made it clear that the approach to building this team must be meticulous and thoughtful. Decisions on roster moves, game planning, and personnel strategy will define whether the Ravens can transform potential into results. The era under Harbaugh taught valuable lessons about what works and what doesn't, and the next coach will be tasked with applying those lessons effectively. It's also evident that the organization is committed to maintaining high standards in every aspect, from stadium upgrades to broadcast rights. From fan engagement to internal development, the Ravens are looking at the big picture. Bisciotti's perspective shows a leader who balances business acumen with a deep understanding of football culture. Recognizing that on-field performance and organizational operations are intertwined, every decision from coaching hires to roster adjustments reflects a commitment to excellence that extends beyond a single season. Bisciotti's handling of this transition demonstrates a pragmatic, focused approach. The timing, the communication, and the rationale all show a leader who is deliberate and unafraid to make difficult calls. In doing so, he has also sent a signal to the players, staff, and fans that the franchise will not settle for anything less than the level of performance that Baltimore expects. This isn't about personal grievances or temporary frustrations. It's about creating a culture of accountability, performance, and forward momentum. Looking ahead, there is reason for cautious optimism. The Ravens' next chapter will be shaped by these decisions, and the organization is now in a position to address weaknesses openly and directly. The lessons of past seasons, particularly the patterns in playoff performance and roster development, provide a roadmap for improvement. The combination of strategic hires, roster adjustments, and a clear emphasis on accountability has the potential to set the team up for sustained success. Fans will be watching closely, but they can take some reassurance in the fact that leadership has acted decisively and with purpose. As we break down the implications further, it's important to consider how these changes affect players like Lamar Jackson and others central to the Ravens' success. Bisciotti and DCA's comments hint at a clear vision for the future, one that prioritizes development, preparation, and execution. The next head coach will be expected to align with this vision, ensuring that the team doesn't just make the playoffs, but competes for championships consistently. The culture of accountability and performance that is being reinforced will influence every corner of the organization, from front office to practice fields to game day strategy. The message from Baltimore is unambiguous. Mediocrity will not be tolerated. Lessons must be learned, and every level of the team is expected to rise to meet the standard. The departure of Harbaugh signals more than a change in leadership. It represents a renewed commitment to excellence and the relentless pursuit of success. Every decision made in the coming months will be measured against that commitment, and fans should expect an organization that is proactive, deliberate, and focused on building a team that embodies the Ravens' winning tradition. As the conversation shifts deeper into the future of the franchise, the focus naturally turns to what comes next and how the Ravens intend to recalibrate. After years of feeling like they were close, but never quite over the top, the head coaching search is no longer just a procedural step. It is a defining moment. This is about identifying a leader who understands that Baltimore's expectations go far beyond simply sneaking into the postseason. The organization wants someone who can recognize situational football, manage games with precision, and adapt when opponents punch back. The recurring theme of fourth-quarter collapses and stagnant adjustments became impossible to ignore, and the next coach will be judged heavily on how those moments are handled. When the pressure is highest, there is also an unmistakable sense that strategy must evolve. The league has changed, and while physicality and discipline remain core parts of the Ravens' identity, creativity and adaptability have become just as critical. Too often, the offense looked predictable in key moments, and defensively, there were stretches where opposing quarterbacks seemed far too comfortable late in games. This is where leadership on the sideline matters most. A new voice, a new perspective, and a willingness to challenge old habits could be exactly what this roster needs to unlock its full potential. The front office is clearly aware that talent alone is not enough if it is not deployed correctly. Lamar Jackson sits at the center of all these discussions, whether his name is spoken directly or not. Any coach stepping into this role will have to maximize his skill set while also building an offense that can survive when things break down. The Ravens cannot afford to rely solely on brilliance or improvisation. They need structure, balance, and a plan that holds up in January football. Lamar's prime years demand urgency, and the organization understands that wasting seasons with playoff exits and lingering what-ifs is no longer acceptable. The next coaching staff must create an environment where Lamar is supported, protected, and empowered to win when it matters most. Roster construction will play an equally critical role. The past season exposed weaknesses that had been masked by individual performances in previous years. The offensive line struggled to consistently impose its will, and the pass rush lacked the kind of reliability that championship teams depend on. Development did not happen at the rate the organization expected, And that reality forced uncomfortable conversations at the highest levels. Draft picks who were supposed to take the next step did not do so, and veterans were stretched beyond what they could reasonably provide. Fixing those issues will require both honest self-evaluation and decisive action. This is where pressure on the front office intensifies. Identifying talent is one thing, but developing it and placing it in positions to succeed is another. The Ravens have long been praised for their organizational stability, but stability without progress becomes stagnation. The message coming from leadership is that comfort is gone. Every department is being evaluated, from scouting to player development to in-game decision-making. The standard is no longer measured by regular season wins alone, but by whether the team is built to withstand playoff adversity. That shift in mindset is critical if Baltimore wants to re-establish itself as a true contender. There is also a broader league context at play. The AFC is loaded with young quarterbacks, aggressive play callers, and teams that are not afraid to take risks. Standing still in that environment is the same as falling behind. Baltimore's leadership understands that keeping pace requires innovation. Without abandoning identity, physical football, strong defense, and disciplined execution remain pillars of the franchise, but they must be paired with modern concepts and situational awareness. The next era of Ravens football must blend tradition with evolution, and that balance will define whether these changes lead to meaningful results. Fans have been vocal throughout this process, and their frustration has been rooted not in a lack of effort, but in a sense of unrealized potential. Watching seasons end the same way year after year creates fatigue. Even when the team is competitive, leadership appears to recognize that sentiment. There is an understanding that trust must be rebuilt, not through promises, but through visible change and tangible improvement on the field. The decision to move on from a long-tenured head coach was a signal that no role is immune to scrutiny. And that message resonates across the locker room and beyond. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. Whispers from the NFL locker rooms are gaining traction, and fans are already buzzing over a brewing feud between two longtime rivals. Sources suggest that a prominent Steelers player has not been shy about voicing his opinions regarding the Ravens' performance this season. While the exact words remain under wraps, insiders claim his remarks were far from complimentary, sparking intrigue and a fair bit of tension between the franchises. The Steelers-Ravens rivalry has long been one of the most intense in professional football, characterized by hard-hitting matchups and a history of playoff drama. But this alleged commentary, coming directly from a Steelers locker room, could take the rivalry to an entirely new level. Teammates reportedly found the player's comments to be blunt and unapologetic, suggesting a mix of frustration with past encounters and confidence in his own squad. Ravens fans, of course, are not taking this lightly. Social media channels and fan forums are already alight with speculation, debating both the intent behind the words and the potential fallout. Some analysts view the statements as standard trash talk, part of the psychological chess game teams often play in the lead-up to big matchups. Others suggest there may be a deeper narrative at play, hinting at underlying tensions between the two locker rooms that could shape the season. Neither organization has issued an official response, but insiders hint that the comments may not go unanswered. Historically, the Ravens have been known for their fierce competitiveness and do not mess with me attitude, making it unlikely that such remarks would be ignored. Meanwhile, the Steelers appear confident that their star player speaks for the team's mindset, unshaken, determined, and ready for the next challenge. The rumor is already adding fuel to the anticipation surrounding upcoming meetings between these AFC powerhouses. Fans and analysts alike are left to wonder, was this just a playful jab in the heat of rivalry, or the start of something more combustible? Either way, the brewing tension promises a storyline that could dominate headlines long before the whistle blows. In a league where pride and reputation are on the line every week, such words have a way of echoing far beyond the locker room. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.